Is it just me? Or was yesterday kind of a slow news day? Huh. Just strange. Start the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, Dawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, me, Marty, aka Dawg Knight on the Dawg Knight channel. And I'm looking around, and it just seems like yesterday was such a slow news day. Everyone was still having their kind of Mueller testimony hangover, and it just not a whole lot went on. Although let's put it this way. There actually was other news in the world besides the Mueller testimony, but you just wouldn't know it because the only thing people talked about was Robert Mueller. So today, I kind of got a little bit away from that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So I just brought together a mishmash of topics to talk about, a bunch of articles, and we're just going to get through a whole bunch of them today. Then we'll do our Twitter trends, and then we'll get the hell out of here after we go through the Morning Night Live. But first, of course, I have to say good morning. Good morning to the first person in the chat today was Max Del Rio. I got my bell ready. It's going to work. Hey, listen to that. Good morning, Marsupial Gamer, Jason Burns, Smarty Bear. Check your logic. That's a good start. We'll get some more people rolling in here as we go along. Also, good news is I'm finally going to get rid of this thing. I got a new microphone coming. I finally put together some funds for that, so I'm going to get a new microphone by Monday. I'm happy about that. A little bit less echo. It'll sound a little better, and but that's going to be my temporary setup. Even this new microphone, I'm replacing the Blue Yeti Blackout Edition that I lost when my car got broken into in San Francisco. I'm replacing that with the same microphone, but then eventually I'm going to get a new setup, a little bit more. We'll show you that later, but that's going to be down the road because I gotta save some money for that. So anyway, let's see. So, good question. Let's see. Marsupial Gamer asked, I don't remember yesterday. Did it happen or did we all just skip it? Yeah, isn't it weird? Everyone was talking about the Mueller report yesterday, and I'm sure that they'll still be talking about it. Here's the thing, though. I'm worried about it. It's Friday, right? It's Friday. Now, I don't have a guest today. I'm going to start having guests again now that I'm starting to get this stuff worked out. Notice that my stream quality has been better already since I upgraded the RAM in my computer. This computer that my son built, I doubled the RAM, and clearly that has helped. So I may not have to get a new video card unless I want to. Well, eventually I would move this out to kind of a high def output. I think my output's at 720 right now. I want to get it to at least 1080, possibly 4K at some point. But hey, we'll get there anyway. So we're going to. What was I talking about? I can't remember. Anyway, we got a bunch of different stories today. No one's talking about the Mueller report today, but Friday. It's Friday. That's what I remember now. My concern is being Friday. Now, I'm sure Trump, the president, will tweet something today that'll get everyone riled up. So I'm confident of that because he does it every day. And every day he has some reason that he caused something to trend. But I'm curious what the Friday news dump's going to be. You know, we've been waiting for this Inspector General report. And I know that they, at least via reports that I've seen through different news outlets, public information, that report is basically complete. Now, I know they had to go back and interview a couple people. And I think one of those people is someone that you're about to hear about a lot in the news. And that would be a name that came up in the Mueller testimony a couple different times. That would be Joseph Mifsud. Now, that's a name. It's funny because I was watching. You know what? Maybe I'll pull up this video I watched this morning on body language when Mueller was being questioned by Jim Jordan, the representative from Ohio. And he was talking about Joseph Mifsud. Now, most people who are watching that, unless you've really paid attention, and mostly, let me change that. People who listen to multiple types of news outlets, meaning outlets with a liberal bent and outlets with a conservative bent. The liberal bent media, who needs to get bent sometimes. Good morning, Neckersaw Collins. I just noticed you popped in also. The liberal media hasn't talked a whole lot about Joseph Mifsud or Andrew Downer or Stephen Halper. Okay, but if you listen to some of the right-leaning, or not even necessarily right-leaning, because I know of some left-leaning people who also are paying attention to both ends, or have even people who used to be, for example, you take H.A. Goodman. He was the biggest Bernie supporter on the internet, as far as I'm concerned, as far as journalists, and now he's a big-time Trump supporter. He's been following this, and he's talked about those guys ad nauseum, because they are key figures, especially Joseph Mifsud. Now, Joseph Mifsud, he's this professor. If you're not familiar with him, he's a professor who, he's the one who told George Papadopoulos when he was on a trip in Europe. He's the one who met George Papadopoulos and told him that he told George Papadopoulos that the Russians had damaging information on Hillary Clinton. Okay, and they had her emails and all this. And then when George Papadopoulos was in a bar with this guy Andrew Downer, who's an Australian diplomat, because in the Mueller report they don't name him. All they say is he's a foreign diplomat, making it sound like, ooh, nefarious foreign diplomat, blah, blah, blah. He's an Australian diplomat who's a friend of Hillary Clinton, helped gain the Clinton Foundation $25 million in donations. Papadopoulos tells him that this guy, he didn't say who, but this guy said that there's something with Hillary emails. And that's how this whole investigation started. But no one talks about Joseph Mifsud. Okay. So, now in this hearing yesterday, two different of the Republican committee members asked Mueller about Joseph Mifsud. And the questions were, when the Mueller team interviewed Joseph Mifsud, and it says it right in the report, that Mifsud lied to them on 3 different occasions. And so Jim Jordan asked him, of all these people, you got all these people charged with lying to the FBI or the Justice Department on Trump's team. You got these guys in Russia that you've indicted that you're never going to see. But why didn't you charge Joseph Mifsud with lying? Now, they made it sound like Joseph Mifsud was a Russian agent. But Joseph Mifsud is not a Russian agent, has really no connections with the Russians. And in fact, they think that Joseph Mifsud has connections to Western intelligence, possibly our own State Department, possibly with British intelligence. They have pictures of him with Boris Johnson, the new British Prime Minister. This guy So fed Papadopoulos some information, and then when Papadopoulos is drunk in a bar in London, he mentions this Andrew Downer, the guy from Australia, that he heard that the Russians might have some information on Clinton, and that's how the whole thing started. So you're going to hear the name Joseph Mifsud a lot in the coming weeks. In fact, I bet perhaps even in the upcoming Inspector General report, which I'm expecting to be could be today because it's Friday. And you know what they like to do on Fridays? They like to put out news that they don't want people to pay attention to, but it's important news. It's called the Friday News Dump. So I'm really curious what the Friday News Dump is going to be today. But since everyone wasted all their time talking about Mueller yesterday, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of other things. Now, a couple of other people showed up. Good morning, Functional. Good morning, Blind Press. I am so happy you're here, Blind Press. Good morning, my Canadian friend. Duck Dog. Necrosol. I already said hi to Necrosol. So there's a whole bunch of people here. I got a whole bunch of people here. Good morning, and good morning, Lurkers. Lurkers, you don't have to be in the chat if you want to just lurk or if you're listening at work. And in fact, I'm going to encourage you people to listen at work or listen when you're driving or whatever. You know, you don't have to be in the chat. Just I appreciate you being here. Now, before we get started, I want to remind you that the Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the listeners and watchers of the Morning Night Live. Right down here, right down there, there's that arrow. Hit that share arrow. Share this out. I'm going to start taking clips more often from my streams and putting them up as standalone videos. So if you miss something, I'll usually the early part of the show I'll put in as a separate video. And I'm still in the process of, I almost got my one video that I actually made standalone. I got it almost finished. Hopefully I'll pop that up this weekend. But also, if you haven't hit the like button, hit that. And we do super chats through Streamlabs because I am not monetized. So the Streamlabs link is in the description down below there. So thank you for being here. Good morning, MC. Oh, hammer time! Hammer time. Stop. Hammer time. Okay. All right. Let's get into some news. Interesting. Now, the big one, there's a couple big ones. Yesterday, we talked about Facebook got a huge fine, and we didn't talk about Google, but Google's being sued by Tulsi Gabbard, the presidential candidate. And another tech company is in the news, and that would be Netflix. Netflix is losing beloved shows, subscribers, and confidence as U.S. growth slows. I don't know if there's any evidence of U.S. growth slowing yet, although it'll happen. It'll happen. Everyone comes up, must come down. Executives look to international markets. Apparently, Netflix reported earnings Wednesday night, and the results were disastrous. The company saw its first major loss in U.S. subscribers last quarter, and a mere 2.7 million paid customers added globally, nearly half of what was forecast. Stock dropped by more than 10% just after the report came out. It's a terrifying slowdown for a service that's based on subscriber growth and raises new questions about how long the company can justify its content spending spree. Do any of y'all spend a lot of time on Netflix? Now, I don't watch stuff on Netflix a whole lot, but we're subscribed because I have it subscribed through my service. And my wife watches some of the Netflix shows, but I went on Netflix the other day, just trying to find a random movie to watch or something. I couldn't believe how much original programming Netflix puts out. I mean, you have pages and pages of Netflix produced shows. And there's a couple that I knew of, like there's one, Frankie and Johnny, that my wife thinks is funny and she likes watching that. And it's a funny show. I've watched it. But they're paying a lot of A-list or former A-list actors to be in some of these shows. And I don't know how they can do it. It's insane. I mean, it is, they make quality shows. They have less restrictions on what people could say in shows and stuff like that. But I was just amazed at how much content they make. I mean, they must have a lot of studio time, and holy crap. Hello, Kitty Stalker. Hello, Seamus Derby. Nice to see y'all. Nearly all the company's new subscribers were from international markets this quarter, and according to CEO Reed Hastings, there's still plenty of room to grow there. There are about 700 million households that pay for TV outside of China, the equivalent of the U.S. 100 million. And that's one established market, Hastings said on an investor's call Wednesday night. Do we have enough content in each of those countries? The internet is capable of some very large customer bases. Yeah, but if you're losing subscribers in the main market where people have the money to pay for it, that's not a good thing. Anyway, Netflix executives also spent a significant portion of their call talking about India, where the company expects significant growth. Now, that is absolutely a market where they could grow, but I don't know, man. You're going to have to do, unless you're, it was probably a little bit easier where they weren't putting out all this original content. But man, so now you're going to have to do original content in several different countries if you grow the subscriber bases, or are you just going to put movies out? That, I'm happy with Netflix. And see, the price keeps going up too. And that's one thing. I was paying for a subscription, and then I realized I could do it for cheaper just doing it through my cable company. But they aren't. Yes, there's a potential for growth, but then you got to also put out more original content. I don't know. I don't subscribe to Netflix for their original content, even though some of it's good. I subscribe because I want to watch movies or things that were already produced, maybe that I want to follow the series. Like, I'd watch Breaking Bad all on Netflix before they moved it to wherever they moved it to. But the problem is now all these other services are trying to compete. So you got Hulu and you got Prime and I mean, there's all these other Disney's coming out with their own. It's the market's going to get saturated. The prices are going to have to drop, which I hope happens. But for some reason, as the competition has grown for Netflix, their prices have gone up. So go figure. Anyway, the international focus is paying off, according to them. Yeah, but okay, so still, this is a pretty long article, but the fact that they're losing shows, subscribers, and confidence, I mean, they're losing subscribers in the U.S., so they're going to have to grow out into international markets. All right, enough about Netflix. Another, W.R. Costin, how you doing? Nice to see you. I blame YouTube for not updating notifications until I was on my second Styx video. Oh, okay. Styx did his... all you people who happen to follow Styx, he put his videos out this morning at about... it was like 3 a.m, because I was at work, and all of a sudden all these Styx videos pop up. I'm like, Jesus, I thought he made his videos in the morning and put them out around 7 or 8 o'clock, but that was weird. Anyway, all right, another tech company, or we could call them a tech company, or at least a communications company, is in the news. AT&T loses nearly 1 million TV customers after raising DirecTV prices. Another one. Price increases help drive 946,000 customers away from AT&T. Holy smokes. AT&T lost 946,000 TV subscribers in Q2 2019, a loss that the company attributed to price increases, competition, and other factors. AT&T reported a net loss of 778,000 subscribers in the premium TV category, which includes its DirecTV satellite and UVerse wireline TV services. They attributed this loss to an increase in customers rolling off promotional discounts, competition, and lower gross ads due to focus on the long-term value customer base. And then they lost 168,000 subscribers of DirecTV Now, an online service with linear channels that's similar to traditional satellite and cable TV. AT&T said the DirecTV Now customer service loss was due to higher prices and less promotional activity, meaning that the customers have balked at price increases. Yeah, duh. And a refusal to extend discounts. So, not a good deal, man. They made a huge bet on video in recent years buying DirecTV in 2015, which I think was a mistake. My problem with DirecTV and Dish and all those networks is I live in a part of the country where we get snow and rain, and those dishes get messed up in the snow and the rain. Now, they've made some improvements to some of the discs. They changed the shape, and apparently that helps. But by that time, I was like, fuck it. Oh, bye, Blind Press. I hope you have fun at the park. All right. Let's see here. So anyway, another company. They're losing money too. All right, moving on. Next story. This one's interesting. A cooler filled with male genitalia found in a raid of a Phoenix body donation company. Wait a minute now. What the hell is a body donation company? Okay, so anybody would you want to work at a body donation company? Anyway, here we go. A head sewn onto a mismatched body, a bucket of limbs, and a cooler filled with penises are among items found by FBI agents during raid on a Phoenix body donation business. I thought for sure this would be a Florida story. The now shuttered for-profit biological resource center, specializing in accepting the bodies of people after they had died, in exchange offering their families free pickup. I'll just take a sip of my reparations coffee here. And in exchange, offering their families free pickup. It's like you're picking up. Hey, we'll buy your used couch, and we won't charge you for the pickup. Free pickup. Free pickup of the bodies, plus the cremated remains of the body parts the company did not sell. Arizona is a regulatory free zone for the body parts industry. At least 4 body donation companies are operating in Arizona, in addition to a nonprofit cryonics company that freezes people after they die with the intent of one day bringing them back to life. Oh, man. So kind of like Demolition Man, right? They put you in that freeze thing and then they bring you back to life. An FBI special agent during a January 2014 raid of the Biological Resource Center stumbled on what he described as various unsettling scenes. The agent's grisly eyewitness account of the raid was recently revealed in a civil lawsuit against the business and its owner, Stephen Gore. Oh my God, is this from The Onion? Stephen Gore. He's appropriately named. The case is set for trial October 21st in Maricopa County Superior Court. 33 plaintiffs have sued the Biological Resource Center, saying the remains of their family members were obtained through false statements, that body parts were being sold for profit to various middlemen, and that they were not stored, treated, or disposed of with dignity or respect. Oh, really? With a head sewn onto a different body? Go figure. Oh my gosh. Reacting to the Biological Resource Center case, Arizona passed a law in 2017 that says body donation companies are not allowed without a state license. However, the law has not yet been implemented or enforced. Oh my goodness. Some of the things they found. Okay. Some of the things they found, we're moving down here. Many of the body parts were piled on top of one another with no apparent identification to indicate what bodies they came from or who they belonged, he said. In addition to a cooler filled with male genitalia, aka peni, Sidemore testified that he also saw a large torso with a head removed and replaced with a smaller head sewn together in a Frankenstein manner. He also saw large male torsos with limbs and genitalia removed, buckets and coolers with various body parts, including buckets of heads, arms, and legs, body parts piled on top of each other throughout the facility with no apparent identification, steel freezers with frozen body parts inside with no apparent identification. So this guy, Gore, pleaded guilty. Apparently the case is finally going to court in July 2019. Oh my goodness. Woo, does that mean the demand for penis was especially high? or especially though? That's a good question. I mean, have they figured out how to do a penis transplant? I thought I heard about one of those. Um, Dude, imagine working there. Imagine working in that. Honey, I'm going to the office. Okay, honey. Honey, I'm home. Oh, what is that smell? All right, moving on. Joe Lieberman, school choice is a winning policy. Why don't Democrats support it? You know what? I got to do some better transitions between stories. By the way, I am going to add some transitions. That way it'll make it easier to make standalone videos. But anyway, Joe Lieberman says school choice is a winning policy. Why don't Democrats support it? What have I told you? A policy proposal has 73% has a 73% approval rating. That includes 76% of Hispanics, 73% of whites, and 69% of African Americans. And 56% of those polled said they would be more likely to vote for a candidate who supported this policy. If you were a Democrat candidate for president, you would naturally think that supporting such a policy would be a smart thing to do. What is this popular public policy? Is it Medicare for all? Is it the Green New Deal? No, it's school choice. In June, a nationwide poll from the Mason-Dixon polling on behalf of the American Federation for Children, 73% of voters said they support school choice programs that give parents the right to use tax dollars designated for their child's education to send their child to the public or private school which best serves their needs. I have always thought this was a good idea. You know what? I'm not against public schools. Both of my parents were public school teachers, the parents I grew up with, I should say. And, you know, I mean, I was fortunate that they were in a decent school system. I hope he did. Sorry, I just looked at the chat. Hope he didn't bring his work home with him. Oh my gosh, I'm not. Maybe he brought a bucket full. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. Support for school choice is strongest in the South, 80%, West, 77%, and Midwest, 74%, including most important battleground states in the Electoral College. Republican support for school choice is stronger than Democrats. Still, more registered Democrats would support a candidate who backs school choice than would oppose it. So I've always thought school choice was a winner of an idea, especially in places where schools aren't very good. You know what? In Minneapolis, there's some schools down in the Minneapolis district, which the schools in this Minnesota are not bad, but there's some schools where parents want kids to go where other kids are striving to achieve, and I don't think it's necessarily the schools that are terrible. I think that it's the culture of a school that is the problem, and so you have schools where kids have been told it doesn't matter what you do because you're not going to be able to do anything when you get out of school anyway because the world is against you. And that's the problem. We have too many families that teach their kids that and too many politicians who reinforce that. You can't do this because you're X, or you can't do this because you're Y or Z, and people need to realize that the opportunities you have often come from what you do to prepare for those opportunities. And too many kids are told, nope, well, because you're black, you're never going to get ahead in the world anyway because white man's trying to hold you down, or because you're a girl, someone's going to hold you back. Nobody holds anybody back anymore. And I guarantee you that even in some of these schools that are supposed to be so bad because the test scores are low or whatever, I guarantee you in every single school that they say is a terrible school, there's some kid getting into an Ivy League school. There's some kid getting into Michigan or Stanford or there's kids from every one of those supposedly terrible schools that's getting into college and succeeding in life later. It's not the school. It's the culture of the kids in the school that you got to change. You got to figure, and wouldn't even blame it on the single parent phenomenon. Although that is absolutely a factor. We know statistically that kids who finish school The more kids in two-parent families finish school, are don't have kids out of wedlock, don't before they are financially stable, whatever. It's not about. I'm not convinced it's the schools that are the problem. I think every teacher in America goes into that profession with the idea that they're going to be able to make a difference. And then they get discouraged realizing that the kids just don't give a shit in some of these schools. You got to change that. And so school choice would be something that those parents would say, you know what? This school sucks and I want my kid to be able to do something better. And then when kids start leaving those schools and going to a different school, because in fact, the open enrollment, I grew up in Omaha where they pretty much, the Omaha public school system, which consists of 8 different high schools, there's an OPS system, there's about 3 different school systems in Omaha, but one of them is OPS with 8 high schools in the system. And when they went to open enrollment and kids could start going to whatever school they wanted to, and they started focusing some magnet programs in the different schools, even the school that was supposedly the worst school, the kids who they made that what did they make it, a tech magnet. Now that school is also one of the top is a top school in the country. And so all those schools have kind of competed, and the kids go to different schools based on what they want to get done. And so it worked. They had a choice, and so now all the schools got better because kids are making choices. Parents are making choices. So let's see. I'm sorry, functional. Let's see. The problem is teachers can't keep up with 150 kids a day. I'm sure that's what you meant, right? And remember what their needs are. Well, you're saying that schools are overcrowded. I disagree. Average class size in Japan is higher than average class size in the United States. Kids in Japan succeed. It's not about that. It's about keeping up with kids who want to be successful. And there's too many kids who don't give a crap about being successful because they see it as a dead end. All right. But let's see. Functional, where I do believe in public education system, it is demonstrably a public good. Oh, absolutely, it's a public good. I don't think that a choice program is a good thing. It leaves some schools to get even worse. It happens here in Canada, possibly, maybe. I don't know. If it's done correctly, if they find a way, I don't know. You need to have a culture of excellence. I went to I'm just obviously anecdotal evidence is not necessarily good evidence, but I'm thinking about my own situation. I lived out and should have went to a suburban school that was in the Omaha district, and I ended up going to Omaha Central, which is it's an inner city school in downtown Omaha, but it was known for academic excellence. Okay, so everyone who went to Central. Not everyone succeeded. I'm not saying that everyone succeeded. We had kids who dropped out and did do well, but for the most part, because it had this complete culture of excellence, we were known for having multiple national merit scholars and people going to Ivy League schools and whatnot. And even the minority population in that school were successful. Our senior class president was a black lesbian female who ended up going to Stanford. Even the kids who at-risk kids strive to achieve at that school because that was the culture of the school. Now, if you can build that culture within the community of that school, that's the thing. People gotta believe that they can succeed. So anyway, school choice is a popular thing. You just gotta figure out how to do it right. Comparing Western and Japanese cultural and schooling practice is night and day. Oh, I agree with you. I'm not saying the culture and schooling practice. That's what I'm saying. It's a cultural thing. Okay. But someone says, oh, class sizes are too big. No, that's not an excuse. You know what? Guess what? I had a class in college that had 200 people in the class. Okay? That's a huge class size. Now, granted, people going to college are there with a focus and whatnot. So I'm saying it's a cultural thing, not a class size thing. All right. Now, class size becomes a problem because you have kids who don't give a shit and they're disruptive and whatnot, and that's what's got to be changed. So, moving on though, let's move on real quick here. Let's see what was my next story here. Let's get this. Oh yeah. Okay. Now this might hit the news today. The Trump administration is considering a travel ban for nations south of the border. Trump administration is reportedly considering imposing a travel ban on Guatemala unless the nation takes significant action to stop the seemingly endless flow of illegal migrants who head north from the troubled state and reach America's southern border. In a move reminiscent of the pressure campaign President Trump launched against Mexico over immigration, the travel ban is the most explosive option of three that the administration says it's considering against the Central American nation, according to the White House and other U.S. sources familiar with the plans. NPR reported. That inflection was weird. Let's see. Trump charged Guatemala with backing out of an immigration deal with the United States. Now did you hear about that? I think we read about that the other day, where they were working on an immigration deal with Guatemala where they could either apply for asylum in Guatemala or at the neighboring country, or which Mexico, and the ambassador. I hate the term deep staters, but they're these deep staters inside the State Department who were already involved with Guatemala kind of sabotaged that deal. And so now Trump, because they backed out of that deal, that Trump is coming up with this. If Guatemala doesn't take significant action to protect our borders, then we, of course, will look at all manners of solutions to the serious crisis we face, whether it's a travel ban, significant action on remittances and or tariffs, a White House officer told NPR. The move comes after Obama-appointed U.S. District Judge John Teagar blocked the Trump administration on Wednesday for imposing its new asylum policy. The policy would have likely drastically reduced the number of migrants flooding to the U.S. southern border. The rule, published in Federal Register last week, required people seeking asylum to apply first in one of the countries they cross on their way to the U.S., which is normal international law. It's just amazing. Good morning, Richo. How you doing? And Maniac Man, good morning. Oh, I already said hi to you. I think I said hi to you a while ago. Anyway, all right. So anyway, yeah. So these deals have been getting sabotaged, and the judge tried to block another one of the deals. So now they're going to try something else. It'll probably get blocked too. But I think eventually, if these go up higher into the courts, you're going to see that. I'm sure the higher courts are going to allow these policies because a couple of them are in accordance with international law. All right, next one. No joke. UN Council singles out Israel as world's only violator of women's rights. Oh my goodness. Oh, Richard, you're out of here? Still out of what? Still not. Oh, well, thank you. Good. Thanks, Richo. You're not good Saturday morning. Saturday morning. Oh, it's Saturday morning to you. Okay. I was gonna say, it's like Saturday morning. What are you talking about? Yeah. The UN Council singles out Israel as world's only violator of women's rights. Really? Theater of the absurd via UN Watch. Iran, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Pakistan were among members of the UN's 54-nation Economic and Social Council, a principal organ of the world body, who voted to single out and condemn Israel yesterday as the only country in the world that violates women's rights. Isn't that special? The Jewish state was harshly and repeatedly condemned in a resolution adopted 42 to 2 with 9 abstentions, and 3 absence, see the breakdown below, for allegedly being the major obstacle for Palestinian women with regard to their advancement, self-reliance, and integration in the development of their society. Out of 20 items on the UN Economic Social Council's 2018-2019 agenda, only one, item 16 against Israel, focuses on condemning a specific country. All other focus areas concern global topics such as disaster relief assistance and the use of science and technology for development. The resolution completely ignores how Palestinian women's rights are impacted by their own governing authorities, the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza, nor does it mention how women are discriminated against within patriarchal Palestinian society. Moreover, ECOSOC concluded its annual session by ignoring the world's worst abusers of women's rights, refusing to pass a single resolution on the situation of women in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, or DR Congo, all of which ranked in the top 10 worst countries last year's Global Gender Gap Report produced by the World Economic Forum. Isn't that special? Yeah, where is it? Saudi Arabia, they just recently were allowed to drive. I'm sorry. Israel, as far as women's rights, is very much, well, even probably better than most places. Israeli women are allowed to participate in are required to be in the Israeli military. They vote. They have all the rights. They drive. They own businesses. This is just insane. The UN, what is this council called? The UN Economic and Social Council. The fact that Iran, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Pakistan are members on the council tells you that there's something wrong with that council. I'm sorry. We need to end our involvement. MC says we need to end our involvement in the UN and kick out all of their ambassadors. It's the UN has become a complete joke as far as anything that has to do with rights. They spend so much time. There's so many countries spend their time making resolutions against Israel, which do I think Israel's perfect? Nope, they're not. They're not perfect, but it's just insane. So they spend their time arguing about how bad the U.S. and Israel are. Well, you know what? The reason you have the UN in the U.S. is because the U.S. is the only place probably in the world where we keep UN ambassadors from countries around the world safe. That's the only reason it's here, because you can't, maybe you could have it somewhere in Europe, but that's it. Or Australia. Maybe if you put, you know what? I'm sorry to my Australian friends, but can we move the UN to Australia? Please? I think the UN would be perfect in Perth. Put it in Perth and make sure they keep all the local wildlife at bay, because there's a lot of poisonous shit out there. But put it in Perth, and it's safe because it's an island nation. So no one really attacks Australia anymore. Maybe China could, but move it. Let's move it to Australia, and then we can just save all that money. Maybe just reduce our footprint in the UN, and that's that. All right, let's move on. Enough of the UN. Here's another one. In the Ukraine, there's a little problem. Ukraine seized a Russian oil tanker in a confrontational move. So just like Iran seizing British oil tankers, now the Ukraine seized a Russian oil tanker. Now I knew that there is a reason why this happened, actually. Oh yeah, move it to Greenland. Good idea, MC. Why burden Australia? Move it to Greenland. I mean, especially with global warming happening, Greenland isn't a big giant glacier anymore. And in fact, the thing about Greenland, we keep talking, and I'm not denying climate change here. I'm just saying, that they've discovered that Greenland actually used to be farmland. They've been discovering settlements that were in Greenland and places where they have tools and it looks like agricultural economy there. So, Greenland wasn't always just a big glacier, okay? And it's always fascinated me that they called Iceland and Greenland. But, Greenland's just this giant glacier and Iceland's just this beautiful country. But I'm sure Greenland's pretty too. But, moving to Greenland. Is there even... Now, me... put it in the middle of the outback. I guess this is me not knowing enough about the world. Or not... I know a lot about the world, but I don't know a lot about Greenland. Is Greenland a country? Or who does Greenland belong to? Is there a government in Greenland? I've never heard of it. I've heard of it every other place that has governments. Is Greenland just a landmass that belongs to Canada or something? I don't even know. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back to this. In a move that sure to bring tensions to the region to a boiling point, Ukraine today seized a Russian tanker which allegedly had changed its name to avoid recognition of involvement in the violent incident between Ukrainian and Russian ships in the Sea of Azov last year. Ukraine's security services said on Thursday they had detained a Russian oil tanker that had blocked in November Ukrainian warships near Crimea, drawing reaction from Russia, which vowed consequences should Russians aboard the tanker be taken hostage, according to oilprice.com. On Thursday, Ukraine's security services seized a Russian tanker, Nema, which Ukraine believes took part in the incident in the Kerch Strait near Crimea in November 2018. Today, Ukraine said that it believes that Nema was the same ship with the changed name that took part in the seizure of the Ukrainian ships in November. The investigation found that the Nema tanker changed its name to Nika Spirit to conceal its involvement in the illegal acts of aggression that took place on November 25th, 2018, Ukraine said. So, the crew of the Russian tanker detained in the Ukrainian port of Izmail are returning home, but the vessel will remain in Ukraine. A spokesman for the Russian embassy in Kiev told Russian state news agency TASS on Thursday. So that that's okay. Thank you, W.R. Costin, Denmark. So that that's interesting. At least they did not keep the crew, so they're not holding on to the crew, but they are holding on to the tanker. Still, we don't need any more tension between Russia and Ukraine. We don't need a war breaking out, but oh well, is what it is. Moving on. What else we got? Oh yeah, Illinois again. Here, I'm gonna make this fit the page. Excuse me. There we go. New Illinois Gun Dealer Licensing Act drives over 50% of FFLs out of business. They're trying to close down gun stores through regulatory methods. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the Illinois Gun Dealer Licensing Act in January 2019 after taking office, despite claims from the bill's sponsors that it would not impact dealers or cause any hardship. Those predictions have not aged well. In reality, the new law has decimated gun dealers in the land of Lincoln. Illinois' new Dealer Licensing Act took effect on Wednesday, July 17th. If dealers didn't have approval from the Illinois State Police or have an application on file to become licensed dealers with the heavy fee to accompany the application, of course, they try to tax you out of existence. They can no longer transfer firearms to non-dealers as part of gun sales. In December 2018, the BATFE reports that Illinois had 2,436 federally licensed dealers, Type 3 curios and relic dealers excluded. Just 2 days before the July 17th deadline, the Illinois State Police reported to the media that 1,140 dealers had applied for their Illinois licensing. That's only 46% of dealers reported the first year that at the first of the year that wished to remain in business selling guns. Looking at BATFE's numbers from June 2019, 2,350 dealers. That still means under 50% of existing dealers planning to at least try to jump through the newly erected hurdles created by the GDLA to continue business. So they're doing it. How do you doing it by regulatory, making it licensing, changing licensing, increasing fees. But you know what? I guarantee you that all those gun stores, I'm pretty sure that most of the mayhem that happens in Illinois and Chicago and whatever, Peoria, whatever other parts of the state, mostly Chicago, I guarantee you that most of the guns that are being used in those incidents aren't being bought in any of these gun stores. Oh, so just a thought, okay? Moving on. By the way, we talked about the Equifax data breach settlement. It was what is it? How much? Well, here I'm going to put this link in the chat. If you happen to be, just listen to this, okay? This is the Equifax data breach settlement website. So they got a huge fine, something like $4 billion or something like that. Equifax got just as massive. Maybe it's 400 million. But anyway, in September of 2017, Equifax announced it experienced a data breach, which impacted the personal information of approximately 147 million people. A federal court is considering a proposal class action settlement submitted on July 22, 2019, that if approved by the court would resolve the lawsuit brought by consumers after the data breach. Equifax denies any wrongdoing and no judgment or finding of wrongdoing has been made. Because they settled. That's why they settled. Jesus. But you can file a claim even though Equifax denies any wrongdoing. Well, it wasn't, they got fined because the data got breached. I mean, whether you meant for it to be breached or not, it got breached. $400 million. Anyway, if you're a class member, you can use this website to claim benefits described below. Now, I was laughing because when they put out the settlement, it added up to about $2.83 per person. If they settle with every single person in the class action suit. But apparently you can file for a little more than that. So here's the deal. If you're a class member, you can use this website to claim the benefits described below. Please note that none of these benefits will be distributed or available until the settlement is finally approved by the court. So they're not giving you shit unless the court approves this settlement. So they're offering $125 cash payment. And you can get free credit monitoring services, or if you already have credit monitoring services, you can request, free credit monitoring, or see you later, Marsupial Gamer. Thanks for dropping by. Free credit monitoring, or $125 cash payment. So if you already have credit monitoring service, you can request $125 cash payment. At least 4 years of 3 bureau credit monitoring. So basically, they're going to give you free credit monitoring. They're going to try to get out of it like that, or they'll send you $125. And then you might also be eligible for other cash payments up to $20,000 if you had to defend a fraud claim. So any losses you had because of that, but up to what if your losses were more than that? I don't know. Actually, you're up to $20,000 plus out-of-pocket losses, 25% cost of Equifax credit or identity monitoring, whatever. So anyway, if you're interested, I put that link in the chat. I don't know if you're part of the class. I don't know if I'm part of the class. I just might file a claim just for the hell of it, just to see what they do. Anyway, moving on. Next one, researchers blame increase in this is from the Department of Everything is Trump's Fault. Researchers blame increase in Latino premature birth rate on Trump. Hey, Tyler F., how you doing, my man? Good to see you. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University and the University of California, Berkeley observed an increase in premature birth rates among women who give birth after Donald Trump who gave birth after Donald Trump was elected. The fact that they researched this in the first place makes me laugh. They concluded that it was a likely result of anti-immigrant stress caused by Trump. So let me get this straight. Increase in Latino premature birth rate is Trump's fault. Now, I wonder... I don't want to say this. I mean, do they distinguish between illegal immigrant Latino premature birth rate versus non-Latino illegal immigrant premature birth rate? Or did they monitor the birth rates of all the illegal immigrants in the country that are not Latino to get a baseline? Good Lord. University researchers are blaming an increase in preterm births among Latina women on President Donald Trump, citing stress from threats of anti-immigrant legislation. A recent study conducted by Johns Hopkins professor Allison Gamil and University of California, Berkeley professor Ralph Catalano and University of California, Berkeley researcher Joan Casey found that preterm birth rates in Latina women pregnant during the 2016 election increased by around 3.5%. They then went so far as to conclude that this is likely directly related to stress caused by Trump's election. The study set out from the beginning to draw a relationship between any increase in preterm birth rates among Latina women, Latina mothers, and Trump's election, with the object of the study clearly stated as to determine whether preterm births, gestational age less than 37 weeks, among U.S. Latina women increased above expected levels after the 2016 U.S. presidential election. So just this alone. Hi, Blind Press. Welcome back. Just from this, oh my God. So they set out to prove that Trump is bad for Latino mothers. Do I even need to read this? Oh my gosh. Jamil emphasized that the study employed rigorous methods to ensure that the observed association was not due to normally occurring patterns in the data. They got federal research funding to do this kind of BS. It's all Trump's fault. It is. All right, next, Ilhan Omar tells Al Jazeera our country should be more fearful of white men. Oh, well, that sounds kind of racist. Our country should be more fearful of white men. Weird. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat in Minnesota, suggested in a recently resurfaced interview that Americans should be more fearful of white men than radical Islamic terror. Oh, okay. This is fascinating. Now, without even reading any farther. So I'm sure she'll probably note the ADL study and that, things happen because there's a lot of white men who've done bad things here. Isn't our population about, well, let's see, 70, 60, between 60 and 70% white? So you would think that per capita, the crime... Oh, now I'm going to get into crime rates and shit. The crime rates for whites might be a little higher. Not crime rates, just numerically. Number of crimes by white people. I don't know. Let's read this. In an August 2018... Okay. In an August 2018 interview with Al Jazeera host Mehdi Hassan, the far-left Squad member was asked for her thoughts on the purported rise of Islamophobia in the wake of terror attacks such as the Manhattan Bike Path Massacre that killed 8 people. I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country, Omar claimed. Now, we went through this. We kind of went through this the other day. No, they're not causing most of the deaths within this country. But anyway. And so fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe. America safe inside of this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men, she added. Omar is no stranger to coming under fire for making controversial statements. In 2012, Omar wrote on Twitter that Israel has hypnotized the world. The Minnesota Democrat created a political firestorm in February when she suggested pro-Israel Congress members' support for the Jewish state was all about the Benjamins. Congressman. And anti-Semitic dog whistles that lawmakers are bribed into backing the Middle East's sole democracy. Further, Omar has minimized the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks, describing the tragedy as some people did something. You know, now that one, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt on, even though it sounds like she was minimizing it. If you take that statement alone, I think her point wasn't necessarily to minimize it. I think what she was doing was creating a contrast of how, you know, whether she's right or wrong, she was tending to create a contrast between how, you know, when some people do something here and all these people get blamed, but then again, you see someone do something here and these people aren't blamed as a group. I understand where she was going. It came off as though she was minimizing the September 11th attacks, but I don't necessarily believe that. Maniac Man, we just did that the other day. So why don't you look at the crime stats of mostly black occupied and Democrat-run cities? Yep. No, we and we talked about that the other day. We went through some of that because someone else made a stupid statement like that where, when they were talking about, you know, politically motivated deaths. Well, you could say that, you know, Democrats killed more people than anybody, you know, murder and stuff like that. So, and actually, when you actually look at stats involving mass shootings, even though we don't hear about we only hear about the mass shootings that maybe happen in a school or if it's some man bites dog type mass shooting, but we never talk about the ones that they use in the statistics, which include like mass shootings and gang events in inner city places, which there are far more of those, but you don't hear about them as mass shootings. But the FBI tracks them as mass shootings. So, for example, there was I can't remember what the article was, but there's a party where 8 people got shot at a party. Now, from the FBI's definition of mass shootings, that is a mass shooting. Okay, but it was a party in a black neighborhood in I think Baltimore or something like that, and it didn't really make the news, but it is certainly within the stats. So there you go. So anyway, but Omar's remarks here, we should support me. There's plenty of flack coming about that because this issue has come up, and they're getting a lot of quote mines out of her. I think she needs to worry mostly about her soon-to-be fraud trials, and she's going to have some problems. Even though you hear about it on the internet, living in Minnesota, seeing some of the articles that from the local newspapers that are not in any way, shape, or form conservative-leaning newspapers, she may have some problems coming up. I might have to keep on track of that. All right, moving on. Hey, did you hear that they may have Woodstock 50 after all? Although they may have it in Maryland instead of New York. Woodstock 50 Festival moves to Maryland in a bid to salvage the event. The organizers of the Woodstock 50th Anniversary Festival are relocating the concert to Maryland from upstate New York, a change they say will salvage the troubled event. The festival is now slated to take place August 16th through August 18th at Merriweather Post Pavilion, an outdoor amphitheater in Columbia, Maryland, according to documents obtained by Bloomberg. The venue should be able to accommodate about 32,000 people. Now, you could already tell that these people are morons. The 50th anniversary of Woodstock, one of the most iconic events in probably music history in the United States, and they have an event space that accommodates about 32,000 people. How many? You know what? Let's do a little Google. Let's do a little DuckDuckGo search here. I'm gonna take myself off here. How many people attended with a D-E-D Woodstock? Okay, so an estimated 25,000 people attended the original Woodstock Festival. Now, the second Woodstock... Oh, no. I'm sorry. That's wrong. That's the Miami... Oh, no. 500,000 people attended the original Woodstock. August 15th, 1969 to August 18th, 1969. It was slated to run only 3 days, but ran over into a fourth day. Subsequent Woodstock revivals have drawn even larger crowds. The lineup of 1969, okay, I don't need that. Okay, it's not showing but yeah, so why would they have a 50th anniversary of Woodstock in a venue that accommodates only 32,000 people? In fact, my son just came back from a music festival in Michigan, and I think they had almost 50,000 people there. How the hell? Anyway, organizers of Woodstock 50 have been scrambling to save the festival after their main financier backed out. Local officials in upstate New York refused to approve the permit. Attempts to move it to different spots in the state, home of the original 1969 concert, failed. So anyway, they decided to their benefit. Now they're going to change it to a benefit concert, pitched as a fundraiser for nonprofits devoted to voter turnout and climate change. Okay, there you go. It's going to be interesting. Organizers, they're aiming to charge $129 to $595 for one-day passes to the event, according to current plans. And they've circulated a marketing plan that includes emails to more than 800,000 people for a 32,000 venue event. Okay, good luck to them. Hope it goes well. All right. How am I doing for time here? Oh, I'm running out. I got a whole bunch of stuff. We might just do articles today, just for the hell of it. It's a slow news day, so I gotta fill it with something, right? Here's one. Oh, this is a good one. Now we already blamed. Let's see. We blamed white people for something, and we blamed. Anyway, now we got to blame men for something. Women lose out on 3 hours of sleep at night, and men are partly to blame. Sleep is an important part of life, but it turns out women are losing several precious hours every night because of men. Welcome to the patriarchy. Ladies, if you're wondering why you're so tired all the time, it turns out there's a very good explanation for your constant yawning. New research has revealed that the average British woman misses out on 3 hours of sleep every night as men blissfully doze away, which equates to roughly 1,095 hours lost each year. And said males are part of the reason why you are not getting enough shut-eye, with a partner snoring robbing many of their sleep, along with other factors such as period pain and waking up to look after the kids. All of this is leaving a lot of women at the end of their tether. Oh, so you got them tied to something? We got that. That's why That's why women aren't getting sleep, because we got them tied up so they can't escape. Oh my gosh. But yeah, men's snoring. Okay, so it's men's fault. And men who won't get up and take care of the kids. This is according to the results of a survey by Benson for Beds, where 2,000 couples were quizzed about their sleeping habits. Well, that's probably a unique study. The study found that lack of sleep makes women feel less confident about themselves and their appearance, and can have a detrimental impact on their daily activities, with healthy eating being the first thing to go out the window when they're tired. So, ladies, the reason you're tired and you're fat is because of men. I shouldn't have said that. I really should not have said that. Cut that out when we get done here. Oh, anyway, a third of the ladies said they woke up every single night, with 1 in 2 describing themselves as being constantly sleep deprived. In comparison, only 2 in 10 men reporting that their sleep was regularly disrupted. 1 in 3 participants said the exhaustion was making them depressed, and a whopping 73% were at their wits' end. As well as impacting our mental health, lack of sleep can also cause a number of other worrying problems. Regular poor sleep puts you at risk of serious medical conditions, including obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and it shortens your life expectancy. Then why the hell do women always outlast their husbands? I would venture to guess that women cause men more stress than men cause women stress. Women live longer, right? Right? Am I right? Do I see the word sticky nipple on the screen? Yeah, you did. What was that? Mom glues partner's finger to his nipple as a revenge for snoring. I'm not playing that. Let's go to the next article. Robber shot and killed by a bystander at 7-Eleven in Virginia Beach, police say. Oh, is this a Saved by the Gun story? Let's see here. A quick stop at 7-Eleven for a big gulp and some nachos in the middle of the night went sideways for Barry Engel. In a matter of minutes, she was on the ground, covering her head and praying she wouldn't get shot. First, there were the robbers, masked and armed. Police believe it was at least the 5th 7-Eleven in the area the pair held up in a matter of hours. Then came the gunshots, but it wasn't the robbers who fired their guns. It was a bystander in the back of the store who pulled out his. When the chaos began at 2:10 a.m. and Engel, who owns the Coastal Cafe down the street, Engel, who owns the Coastal Cafe down the street, was waiting with her friend near the cash register. The store was nearly empty. Two gentlemen, armed, masked robbers. Editors, you need to do your job here. Two gentlemen, armed, masked robbers, came in the store with their guns up and told us to stay where we were. Nobody moved, she said. I did exactly that. I pretty much froze and looked at my friend, and he looked at me wondering, is this really happening? Is this real? It was real. One of the masked men stayed near the door while the other went behind the counter and started putting money in his pockets, Engel said. I was looking right at him, the robber, and then I looked back at the clerk, and the clerk raised his hands and said, "Come on, man, don't do this." And not sooner than he had said that, I heard a gunshot. And as soon as I heard a gunshot, I dropped down to the ground and put my hands over my head and started praying because I thought the guy had shot the clerk. After that shot, it was like 3 shots. Bam, then bam, bam. It could have been two or three. Damn, she got down quick. That's a lot of women to get down quick. Engel and her friend looked at each other and then saw the man standing beside them. He said to her, "Nobody's going to point a gun at me and get away with it." That's when she realized he was the one who fired. As she surveyed the gruesome scene around her, Engel saw one masked man lying on the floor dead and another one behind the counter asking for help, having been seriously injured. I was shaking in my boots, she said. Not long after, police showed up. The 4 other 7-Eleven robberies in the area, another in Virginia Beach, 2 in Norfolk, and 1 in Newport News. Police said the 2 men and an accomplice walked in with masks and guns and demanded money, just like on South Newton Road. The clerks in the other incident complied, and no one was injured. Police have not said whether they'll charge the bystander. Charges are pending against the men in custody. Well, the one's dead, but both the one who was shot and another police found nearby, and said believe was involved. So, and then the man of the name who died and the one injured have not been released by police. The shooter's name will only be released if he is charged. So, interesting. I'm wondering, would they charge that guy? I mean, was he being shot at? Was it in self-defense? It's hard to say, but he did foil the robbery and took down the guys pointing guns at people. So I don't know. I am okay. I need some crowd participation on this one. If you think they should charge the guy who saved the day in the 7-Eleven robbery, but killed a man, put a 1 in the chat. If you think he should probably be charged with something, put a 2 in the chat. I am conflicted. I just say I'm conflicted. Okay. 2 more stories and then we're going to get out of here. We'll see what's a couple quick Twitter trends, but we're going to just take the main ones. I know one that's trending that I do want to talk about though, for sure. All right. This one. This one's, I don't care about this story. Let's just do this last one because this one's kind of interesting. Deputies say a woman wore stolen dentures to meet probation officer. An Indiana woman reportedly showed up to a meeting with a probation officer wearing somebody else's dentures. According to Jennings County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, a woman reported her dentures stolen Monday and said Joan Childers had not only taken the teeth, but was also sporting the stolen smile. The same day, a deputy had a meeting with Childers in which he noticed she was wearing dentures that were clearly not hers, the Post said. On Wednesday, deputies located Childers at her home and spoke to her about the stolen teeth. While there, they reportedly spotted the dentures in question, easily identified by the victim's name written on them. If the dentures didn't fit very well, because dentures are custom fitted, so if they're not fitting very well, they'll just probably rattling around in your teeth. I'm talking like that, and you can't. All your teeth are moving around while you're trying to talk. I don't know. Besides, it's the probation officer. The probation officer knows what the person's, if they have their own dentures in their mouth or not. Anyway, Childers is facing theft charges, and the dentures have been recovered. All right, that's my last story for the day. Let's check out to see if there's anything on Twitter that anyone's going to be talking about later today. We'll do this quickly because the show is supposed to be over in 3 minutes, and I'm going to go over already. By the way, I want to thank the people who have tweeted out the stream today, Necrosol and Marsupial Gamer. And okay, yes, so thank you so much. If you haven't done so, or if you're coming back later because you haven't seen the beginning of the stream, please, when you watch, someone clip that, I don't know. Oh, that, this thing. Please hit the share button down there, share it out. And if you haven't already done so, hit the like button if you're here and you're enjoying what we do. Hope you're having fun. We're going to move on to Twitter trends, which number one trending on Twitter today and still trending on Twitter. Okay, of course, it's something to do with the Republican. This time today, it is Moscow Mitch is trending number one, trending with criminal Trump. Now, here's the thing. Now, The Hill puts this, Moscow Mitch trends after McConnell blocks election security bill. And, of course, they're going to put as bad of a picture of Mitch McConnell, which, it's hard to put a good picture of Mitch McConnell up, but there are better pictures than this. But he blocked this, what's called the For the People Act 2019. And apparently... Now, Badgerman here says, I just flew over H.R. 1, For the People Act of 2019, the opposition to which has given Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell a stupid nickname, Moscow Mitch. Oh my goodness, there is a lot of poison pills in this bill. It's a ridiculous bill a conservative can't report. Yeah, there's, you know what, he's going to get beat up for this, but apparently it's one of those bills where they throw a bunch of other crap in it that has nothing to do with election security. And so I understand why McConnell wants them to clean this bill before he lets it proceed. But you know what? It makes a great soundbite to say Mitch McConnell's blocking a bill that allows the Russians to meddle in the election. I'm sorry, but this whole Russians meddling in the election nonsense is so completely overblown. You know, the question they still haven't answered that I want answered, because it didn't get answered in the Mueller testimony on, 2 days ago, Wednesday? It did not get answered. So you say that there is a sustained and systematic, whatever, attempt to meddle in our elections by the Russians. What, and in fact, this question did get asked, but Mueller quickly said he's not going to answer that. What was the result of their efforts? Were their efforts successful? How many votes did they change? And I can guarantee you, if they even try to figure that out, that answer is going to be 0. The Facebook, how many votes did those Facebook ads change? I want to see maybe we'll do a show strictly on the Facebook ads. Maybe I'll do a video on the Facebook ads, because the Facebook ads are ridiculous. And I wish one of the Republicans who was asking questions to Robert Mueller would have had placards of all those Facebook ads and gone through. Did this ad change any votes? Did this ad change? Did the Buff Bernie coloring book change any ads? Did Jesus arm wrestling with the devil change any votes? Did any of the ads that ran after the election change any votes in the election? It's nonsense. And even if, and I'm saying a huge if the Russians actually hacked the DNC, and until they have, see, right now there is no evidence. They haven't had a trial, so we don't. I'll just say innocent until proven guilty. But let's say the Russians hacked the DNC. The DNC is not a government agency. The DNC, and what was the results of the emails? Do y'all remember what was in the emails? Do you remember why Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to resign? Do you remember why Donna Brazile had to take over the DNC for a while? Do you remember what the results of those were? Do the people who were supporting Bernie Sanders remember what was in those emails? It's funny, nobody talks about what was in the emails, because there's something shiny over here that they made up, the Russian thing. And whether the Russians did or not, that shiny thing that everyone wants to talk about Trump, did we forget what was in the emails? Now, do you remember that there's still a fraud lawsuit against the DNC that's still being proceeded with? Did you know about that? The fraud lawsuit? It's still going on. Now, it got dismissed at first, but then it got revived because they were in the wrong jurisdiction. Did you know that there's still a DNC fraud lawsuit? That's still going on, but you never hear about that, do you? Hello? What was in? Let's talk. Can somebody talk about what was in those emails? Why it looked so bad for John Podesta? Why it looked so bad for Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Why it looked so bad for the Clinton campaign? Why the Clinton campaign was in control of the finances of the entire Democratic National Committee during that election cycle? Funny how distractions can make you forget about things like that, right? Right? Of course, Scott Dworkin is chiming in. Mitch McConnell is a traitor. Retweet if you agree. Mitch refused to publicly condemn Russian election interference with President Obama in 2016 and now refuses to protect our voting system. He's an accomplice to the biggest traitor in America. You know what? Here's the thing. What the hell does Congress have to do with it? Congress does not run elections. Federal law doesn't run elections. State election commissions run elections. Fix your shit in your own state. I agree with the paper ballot initiative. I think every state should have some sort of paper trail that they can go to. Okay? Your state should do that. The Federal Election Commission, their only purpose is to make some election laws. They don't tell you how you run your elections in each state. The states run that shit. So fix your shit. Rant ended. But anyway, so Moscow Mitch, there you go. They're going to blame it on Mitch McConnell. Your laws in Washington don't mean shit. Sorry. Too many laws in Washington anyway. That's a state responsibility. Moving on. Let's see if there's anything good, and then I got to get out of here. Okay, Friday thought. I'm going to skip the Friday's things because 2, 3, and 4. Friday thoughts, Friday feeling, Friday motivation. I got to skip it. I don't have time. Oh, songs meant for sex. Before I even click on this. Oh, songs not meant for sex. Excuse me. Now that'd be even more funny. Songs not meant. I was thinking of songs meant for sex. When I get that feeling, I want sexual healing. Sexual healing, baby. Oh, it's good for me. Anything by Marvin Gaye that's kind of slow and mellow. Whoa. Well, not Mercy, Mercy Me, though. That's kind of a protest song. Let me think of this. What's going on? What's the Marvin Gaye song that is just, I'll have to think about the Marvin Gaye song that's meant for, the song's not meant for sex though. This should be funny. So let's do a couple of these. So if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Ah, that's a good one. Functional. Okay. I don't know this song, so that's not it. Songs not meant for sex. Fuck the police. Let's see this. Oh no, that's not on there. Okay. Clap that ass. No, that's kind of meant for sex. But song, fuck the police. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Oh, Baby Shark. No, you're right. Smelly Cat. Oh, that's the song that. What's that new? What's new, Pussycat? No. Okay. Trapped in a closet with R. Kelly singing live in the closet. Okay, no. Last surprise. Hot Cross Buns. Oh, anything Yoko Ono sings. Chuck Berry reaction to the senseless screams of Yoko Ono. Him. That's hilarious. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I don't want to hear about clap when I'm having sex anyway. White and Nerdy. That's from Weird Al Yankovic. Okay. Oh, no. The greatest love of all. I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Always knowing the man is inside. Okay, that's definitely not a song meant for sex. Mama told me not to come. By Dawg Knight. Thank you next. Nope. Sister Sledge. We are family. Only if you're Ilhan Omar. Oh, I did not say that out loud, did I? Did I say that out loud? Ooh, I'm sorry. Killing in the name of. Killing in the name of. But to do what they told you. But they do what they told you. What they do what they told you. But to do what they told you. But to do what they told you. Okay, gotta stop that. Just beat it. Beat it. All by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself anymore. Okay, all right. Go through that hashtag. That's a funny one, but I gotta shorten this up. Dolph. I don't know why Dolph is. Did someone? Oh no! Wait a minute. This can't be good. Wait, that's not what I meant to do. Dolph. Why is Dolph trending? Backstory. 2 people just tried to tell me Blueface is better and makes better songs than Young Dolph. I don't care. I don't care. They all the new rappers sound the same. There's no... bring back KRS-One or Tupac. Well, Tupac you can't bring back because... unless you have it in holograph form. Anyway, waivers, Gold Roma, Tim Apple. Let's see here. Rick Ross teams up with Drake on new single Gold Roses. Okay, single again. Kevin. Anything good? Lamestream Media is trending. Why is Lamestream Media trending? Because it's Lamestream Media. Without the help of the Lamestream Media, Trump would not be president. Here's what I wrote as real Donald Trump immediately after the election. Thank you, dishonest media. Oh, I see. Because Donald Trump tweeted it. The words Lamestream Media, so he tweeted it, so everyone's talking about it. The fact that I've gone through 3 years vicious witch hunt perpetrated by the Lamestream Media in collusion with the crooked and the Democratic Party, there can be no way with the greatest economy in U.S. history that I can be losing to the sleepy one. Keep America great. Oh, I missed the first part of this. Must be a poll. Oh, Fox News has had it again. So different from what they used to be during the 2016 primaries and before. Proud Warriors. Now, new Fox poll, which have always been terrible to me. They had me losing big to Crooked Hillary. Have me down to Sleepy Joe. Okay, I see. Here's the thing. Polls are polls. Polls right now don't mean shit. Okay? Polls don't mean anything right now. It's just they have to make some... They're hurting to make news, and so they got to have some kind of dog and pony show to put on TV so they tell you what the polls say now. Even the polls for the Democratic primaries mean nothing right now. Okay? Other than it tells you who they're going to put in the damn Democratic debates. But I don't care about polls. The only poll that matters happens in November 2020 when there's actual results. Every other poll up until that, as you learned in the 2016 election. So stop talking about the damn polls. Nobody cares. You know, the horse race aspect except for maybe it'll knock out some Democrats once the people start voting. The primary polls where people actually vote for people, those matter. When those results come by, then we'll get a Democratic nominee. And then the only poll that matters next to that will be in November 2020. Other than that, take every poll with a gigantic horse-sized salt lick of salt. Okay? All right. That's why Lamestream Media is trending. So I'm sure everyone's ripping on him for the words Lamestream Media. Yeah, there we go. Democrats and their lapdog Lamestream Media after today's Mueller hearings. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so, all right. So, yeah, no surprise. Trump tweeted something. It's trending. National Security, LeBlanc, Stage 19. Oh, stage canceled by freak hailstorm. Leaves 2 burnouts in yellow jersey. Okay. What? I don't know what that means. Stage 19 of the Tour de France was canceled. Holy smokes. This is breaking news as of 2 minutes ago. Stage 19 of the Tour de France has been called because of adverse weather conditions. The race was stopped near the end of the stage with less than 18 miles to go. Huh. I've never heard... Well, they've done it. They've canceled stages before, but... the race was stopped near the end of the stage with less than 18 miles to go. Rider times have been taken at Col d'Azoran. So they actually used the prior marking to... have results for that stage, so they've canceled the rest of the stage. Julian Alaphilippe, trying to become the first Frenchman to win the storied race since 1985, began the day wearing the yellow jersey as the leader, but he fell behind during the stage. His plan, though, was to win it back in the descent, but he never got the chance. Horrendous weather rendered parts of the course impassable as hailstorms covered the road in ice. Not only that, but there was also a landslide. The convoy was organized for riders to reach Tignes by car, according to the Tour de France website. So there you go. That's interesting. Not too hot, too much hailstorms. All right, so that's probably gonna that'll move up in the trends. That's breaking news as of just a few minutes ago that we found that out. So there you go. And then rest in peace, Ken Olkoff. Let's find out who Ken Olkoff is. Kibra MP Ken Okoth on life support machine near Nairobi Hospital. That's in Kenya. He was rushed to the hospital on Sunday night after being found in his bed unresponsive but breathing, and apparently he has passed away. So I'm not familiar with Ken Okoth, but anyway, apparently he's not. You can look that up on your own. So anyway, I got to call it a day, because it's about that time. I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. See, we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. So, I'm going to throw that out there I know some of you know what I'm doing when I do that. But anyway, we are calling it a day, folks. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you all showed up today. It's been a lot of fun. Good way to end the week with a lot of interesting stories. We're here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT for those people outside of the United States. And before you go, if you haven't already done so, hit that like button. Also, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, it'll be on replay here in a moment. Hit the share button, share that out. And again, we do what do you call them? Super chats and donations through the Streamlabs link, which is in the description below. Thank you for all the people who have been so supportive of the show, both in helping us promote it, bringing new people here, and also the people who give donations. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being here. My name is Dawg Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and I want to thank you for joining me today on the Dawg Knight channel. Before you go, if you like what you saw and you're not already subscribed, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below, and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, and 2 p.m. GMT. A special thanks to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through our Streamlabs link in the description below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.